Rusty rifles, forgotten O-rings, and hunters showing up with the wrong gun for the job. It's that time of year again. In this episode, we're talking all things hunting season prep, what gunsmiths need to stock, how to handle last-minute walk-ins, and why setting expectations might be your best tool. Rick Casner and Bart Miller join us to share real stories, shop tips, and the skills SDI students can use to get ahead this season. All that and more on this episode of The Gun Rack. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Gun Rack, SDI's podcast on everything firearms. I am Christian Sequeira, event coordinator, your host here at SDI, and I'm joined as always, or mostly always, with Steve Ross, director of marketing. How's it going today, Steve?
Hey, Christian. Good to see you.
Hey, we are talking hunting prep today, and you grew up on a ranch doing hunts. What's one of the biggest mistakes you've seen where people weren't prepped correctly?
Sure. This is one of my favorite topics. I'm so excited for hunting season. I can tell you from years as a hunting guide, working at a hunting ranch, we would see it. There'd be at least one every season. The guy shows up the day before opening day, goes to open up his gun case, and it's got orange dots. His gun is all rusted. He hasn't touched it since last season. And of course, he needs it zeroed in right now, and he got there late, but the gun's not ready. So as a hunting guide, we were always like, oh man, how are we going to get this guy set up for getting his tree stand tomorrow morning with a rifle that's not ready? So today we're talking about how to be prepared as both the hunter and as the gunsmith running your shop to get your customers ready in time for hunting season.
And to help us talk about that, we actually have two avid hunters and longtime hunters, SDI's own Associate Dean of Firearms Technology, Rick Casner, and Firearms Specialist, Bart Miller. How are you two doing today, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Doing well. How are you?
We're excited.
Good.
You want us to have a big smiley face. Yes.
Right. No Debbie Downers on this podcast. So
out from hunting season, you guys put on your hunting caps of starting to think about what to prepare for?
As far as what we should tell them to prepare for,
So what do you guys typically do to prepare?
Get out to the range early. I think practice is the most important. Bart, go ahead. You could talk.
Oh, yeah. That's always great advice. It's cheap insurance to take your gun out to make sure that it performs. And not only that it goes bang, but maybe it shoots good group or cycles the ammo that you're running through it. I'm going to take a little bit different tact on it. From the gunsmith shop, you've got to be able to plan for the fact that there's going to be certain things that people bring in every year. They bring in their 1100s with O-rings or operating handles, things of that nature that just wear out. They're meant to wear. It's our responsibility to make sure that we try to have that supply for them so that when they come running in and say, hey, my gun doesn't work, or I broke my O-ring, do you have something? You're then the hero rather than the heel that doesn't have it, So I guess those are looking for parts and things that a common item.
Let's do that. Let's break this whole thing up into, what how gunsmiths should prep. And then a lot of our students and viewers, they own their own shops. And so we'll look at it from the retailer side. But first, let's keep going with the gunsmith side.
Before we get into that, Christian, actually, I want to set it up one other way. Guys, so think about this as we're talking to our gunsmiths. Maybe they're a new shop, and they haven't started working yet, or they're just getting ready to open their shop in a new area. How are they going to prepare for their customers? Should they be doing the research of what type of hunting is going on in my area? Do we have, am I in a marshy area? Am I going to have a bunch of duck hunters getting ready for the season coming in? Or is it going to be just guys hunting for deer season, and I need to prepare for a bunch of rifles or shotguns, things like that? Is that going to be a crucial part to getting ready and being prepared for the season of, hey, I need to know who my customers are and what is the hunting type that I'm going to be servicing?
Yeah, I think I'll go first, Bart, but I think, it's very regional, and it's also state by state. So I'm originally from Reno, Nevada, And in Nevada, you had very clear cut, at least when I was growing up, you had clear cut seasons, I guess you could say. And it didn't matter if you were doing deer or antelope or whatever. There was an archery season, a muzzleloader season, and a rifle season. So it's not just necessarily hunting season in general. You have your different times that those will come. So your guys working on archery, some of the students may or prospective students may want a full out shop where they have some archery equipment and they have some, gunsmithing services. So you have to gear up and know your audience that way as well. In Idaho, where I live right now, there's seasons all over, different seasons going in different places. So you have to be ready for everything coming in, archery or muzzleloader or rifle. And I know in some places in the East, you can only do short range. You can't do any long range hunting rifles because there's houses, it's more built up. So you have more of your shotgun stuff. So you have to know your region or your audience or your clientele to be ready for that.
Yep. And I think the seasonal part of it is going to be very important for also your marketing, because when I think about it, hey, that means that my state DNR, FWC, something like that, they're going to be sending out email reminders about, hey, go buy your license, start getting ready for the season. Maybe if that customer, if your customer or gun owners, maybe they're on a list for hunting ranches, maybe those places are already sending their emails, reminders like, hey, come now, book your hunt. I think it would be important to make sure that you're getting that timing right, because some people are already getting reminders about hunting season. You should be in that mix too. Hey, hunting is on top of your mind. Come into the shop. We have a special going on. Come on into the store and we'll take care of you.
From the gunsmith side, I would say, and I think that's well put, Rick, with all the different parts, different seasons that are out there, typically you can divide most states into rifles and shotguns. With shotguns, as a gunsmith shop, I think the first thing to do is educate yourself about all of the different options, how to perform. Shotgunners, especially turkey hunters, are experimenters. They want to know what's the latest and greatest that's going to give them the best pattern. You need to be able to talk their language and make the right recommendation of choke for for their type of shot. For rifles, here's one thing that I have done. I've set up a couple shops from scratch. I go through and I order maybe not every scope base that they make, but most of them. And I put them on a board and I make it visible from the shop window. When somebody comes in and they have a Savage 99 and they need a number 14, a number 19 Weaver base, I got them. Or they have an old Enfield, or they have something odd, I've got it. You become the shop that they're prepared for those guys to come in, because they're like, I want to go hunting with my father's gun, my grandfather's gun, and the scope's bad, or I need to upgrade it. So having those bases and rings and things ready for them, because you never know what's going to walk through the door. But it also is a key that ties into the retail part. We sell rifles and we sell scopes. That's awesome. Do you sell the bases and rings to get the scope on the rifle? I mean, if you can't even mount your own scope you're selling, and so that's the gunsmith's responsibility to work with the retail side to make sure that we can put these packages together. Not only that we can mount scopes, we can mount our scopes. And that leads to add-on sales, and that helps establish your value not only to the customer, but to retail.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, and I think it would go beyond just scopes and rings. Like, I think if a customer brings a gun in and it's a very nice gun and they're bringing it still in the original sock from the manufacturer that it came in, hey, maybe you should go out and talk to Fred on the front counter and look at our guns cases as well. So other things that I think would make that customer experience better is now's your chance. They're in the store. You might as well do it now.
And to your point, as far as talking and educating and communicating about and being prepared, here's one big aspect I think that I'd say most gunsmiths miss. Okay. They don't go out with the retail staff a couple weeks before hunting season, and they don't give a class. This is what I do. This is what I can't do. This is what I charge, and make that connection with the retail staff, because they're selling your services for you, even if you're not there. And that builds that camaraderie in store. And then when customers come in, they're like, hey, the retail guy said, come over here and talk to you. If you're not hearing that, you, as a gunsmith, you're probably not working with your retail staff enough to build that, to build up that line of communication.
Smart. I would have never even thought about that. That's that's good communication,
I
especially
think that'd even be important now if you're a gunsmith looking for work. Go start visiting gun shops that don't offer gunsmithing services, or maybe you know they're going to be very busy. Get to know them now to say, hey, if you need me to come in and do some extra work for you, here's my information. Here's the things I do. Here are the things I don't do. And here's my prices. Make it easy. Make it easy for that shop to sell your services.
You said something that hit the nail on the head. Here's the reality of shops that don't have a gunsmith shop. When a customer comes in and they ask a technical question, none of us guys want to be in that place where we sit there and say, I don't know. However, if I've got an ace up my sleeve and say, I don't know, but go talk to this guy, and they hand out your business card, they will hand them out like candy. And you've got retail outlets directing work your way. They want to be able to help their customer. And rather than say no, and I don't know, or take the time, they just hand a card, and all of a sudden you guys start getting these cards back in. And then I usually give those other retailers a discount. You send them over, we'll give them a discount and some priority.
Along those lines too, Bart, I think it's important to touch on knowing your bandwidth of what you can handle, because you need to be able to start receiving those referrals. So those store owners, say you have, like in my small little town, we have 3 gun shops that don't have any gunsmiths, so they have to refer everything out to a gunsmith. And if they're referring to me and I'm turning everybody away, well, eventually, or I'm turning half the people away, eventually that's going to work its way back to those gun stores that are referring, and they're going to stop referring. So you need to make yourself available. You need to know that you're capable of doing the work that you're advertising, and that you're available to take the work. So, I mean, obviously you do want to be popular enough to where you have a little bit of a backlog to give yourself, time to work into it, but you don't want to make it so horrible for the customer that they're waiting a year or 2 years to even get their gun. So,
Yeah, no, it's well put.
Do you have a like a list of things in your mind? Like, man, it's a week before hunting season. What do you what do you not want to hear from a gun shop or a gun owner asking for a fix or repair a week before hunting season? What are the type of things you're going to definitely turn away?
what I'm going to turn away is like full restores, things like that. I guess if I'm wanting to get things out to customers quickly, I'm ramping up for hunting season. This is time when, the simple things like cleaning, function checks, different things like that, safety checks, mounting and bore sighting rifles, mounting scopes on those, things like that. I'll probably make myself available for those things. But if it's like a full restore, I'm totally bluing this firearm and refinishing the stock, well, that takes more time. So I'm probably going to put those ones off during hunting season. I hope I was answering your question on that.
Yeah, and really, like, are you keeping those customers in mind for either later in the hunting season or after hunting season to follow up and say, hey, I'm ready to do that now. Let's get it done this time, way in advance, so we can get you taken care of.
Yeah. And Bart can answer better. He's been in the industry longer, but it's always good to have that, because you're going to have a slow season, right? After your hunting time, depending on, again, your clientele. Some people might be in the city and they don't see any hunting rifles. They see all just handguns. But if you're in a hunting area, hunting market, yeah, you want that during the slow season. And if you front load the customer, if you let them know, hey, I'll get to it and I'll do a great job, but this isn't going to come for another 6 months because we're in hunting season now. they're usually okay with that. And maybe they'll hold on to their firearm. They won't give it to you until 6 months down the road when you're actually ready for it. Or they'll give it over to you and they just know that you won't be able to get to it for a while.
Piggyback on what Rick just said, and I agree with him. He's exactly right. Restorations are for the slowest time of the year. That balances out that workflow. It also helps you bring in income to pay your gunsmiths while you're there, so they kind of like it as well. So they get that steady income stream. The thing that I can attribute probably the most to building a shop to 4, 5, 6 people, and expanding and setting up your establishing your reputation is this one simple theme. Do not plan 8 hours worth of work in an 8-hour day, especially during hunting season. Plan 4 hours for work ticket work, 4 hours for walk-up customers. If they show up, it's not an inconvenience. Gunsmiths are grumpy. You want to know why? They fill their day up and then you're interrupting them. But if they're no longer an interruption, if I planned on this guy coming in, hey, we've got mountain bore sights coming in during rifle season. I got recoil pads coming in for shotgun season. I got cleaning oils all hunting season. If you plan on it, it's not an interruption. And people are like, wow, you can put that scope on today? Yeah, I already planned on it. Off season, it's 6 hours a day work ticket, 2 hours for while you wait or express work. Hunting season is 4 and 4. But if you start doing that in advance, if you do get the job in, that's maybe a muzzle brake that you wouldn't normally do. Hey, I'm going to make an exception for this guy. The other thing you can do is work with retail and say, in a month or two, hopefully 2 months, when it's their slow season, bring in your gun now and beat the hunting season rush. There's that communication. That not only helps bring them in to level out the workload, it advertises what you do and sets your shop apart. And it also helps the retail staff sell product.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off that a little bit too, Bart, and this is kind of sidetracking a little bit, but you at your past gun range, you guys would bring in used guns, upgrade them, and then sell them. So did you, when you were getting ready for hunting season, would you do more upgrading of hunting style rifles and shotguns and then have those out on the store in the the main floor for people to purchase? And then you would just walk over. If they were looking for a hunting firearm, you could walk them over to that rack.
Yeah, the customer is always first. The potential sale is always second. So we would prioritize it that way. And, but if you give yourself enough of a cushion, say, hey, this week we need to push this, or today we need to push those, or whatever, you can fluctuate. Let time be a tool. Gunsmiths are great for using tools, right? Using machines. Well, a clock's a machine too, and it's a tool. You just need to learn how to utilize it. And it's the bane of most gunsmith shops that I'm always behind, always, what are the complaints we hear about gunsmiths? It's usually not as much quality as in takes forever. Well, plan your day, get staff, check your numbers, that type of thing.
Well, to switch gears a little bit, and this might be more on the retail side, but I've never gone hunting. Obviously I've shot guns and different kinds of guns, rifles, all that. How do you handle if somebody comes into your shop and says, hey, I'm a new hunter, I'm going out with my uncle, I don't want to look like a total noob? How do you set me up? Like, what questions are you asking? What are you suggesting? What advice are you giving? Take me through that.
I think for me, the first question would be, well, what is your experience overall in general with firearms? Are you totally new to firearms as a whole, or is it just hunting?
Yeah.
Because if they're new to firearms, that's a completely different ball game, because and a lot of gun ranges will have classes. So I would recommend that they go through a course first, because a gunsmith we're not getting paid to be teachers necessarily. We do educate our customer base generally, but we're not going to get paid to be there taking them on the range for an hour unless they want to pay us for that. But our time is more valuable spent elsewhere. So if there's a class somewhere else, send them over there. Now, if they're getting used to just hunting and they're They're used to firearms. They know how to shoot. Then you're just talking them through maybe firearm materials. So this has a wood stock versus a composite stock. What is the difference? What is the difference with this barrel, this heavy barrel versus a lighter weight barrel? You know, you're going to be hauling this around in the hills and it's going to get heavy after, 8 hours of hiking, things like that. Then you're just more educating through talking and giving them the rundown of different materials. That's my perspective on it.
Gotcha. Bart, do you have a retail side perspective to it? How would the retail side handle that?
Yep. It's basically asking the right questions. You ask the questions and it directs. They actually have the answer. They just don't know how to parse through all the information. Sometimes you'll have somebody that is a little bit, they have too many options. They've looked on the internet too much. Sort it down, sort through it, reduce it down to, and let them have two options. As long as you give them two options, this is going this direction, this, or maybe three, good, better, best. This is what I would do. And then making sure, to Rick's point, if you do have somebody who's completely new to it, get them to shoot something, a 243, a 30-06, a 7 mag, a 338, something that's appropriate for the person, of course. 270 is a great choice. You can relate a lot of recoil and how the gun handles and the weight and everything else. Just give me a frame of reference. That's what they lack the most of. That's the problem the computer just doesn't give you, is that practical, I took a shot with a 270, hey, I can live with this, and having that frame of reference. But let the retail staff sell. That's what they're doing. If I get somebody that wants to pick your brain, the answer is almost always yes. And what we would do is we set up a thing called tech time. Not a problem. Rent a gunsmith. This is our hourly rate. Talk as long as you want. They get really precise really quick. They really parse through those questions really quick. So there's a couple ways. So as long as your attitude is yes, however, your request, our structure.
So Bart and Rick, so I mean, you said that customers are a lot of times now doing research before they come into the shop, but before then, when you're going to do your ordering for gear, guns, ammo, accessory, are you looking at previous year's trends and history of what was selling, or are you doing your own research about what you should stock up on to make those recommendations of what you should have in stock for customers coming in this season?
Go ahead, Bart. You have more experience on that side of it.
Yes, to both of those. Absolutely. You got to look at last year's sales, look at what inventory didn't move. More importantly, why? Was it caliber? Was it manufacturer? Was it price? Et cetera, et cetera. That's why then going to the SHOT Show or things of that nature and seeing what everybody else is doing. At the end of the day, there's a Ouija board involved somewhere. It's just a guessing game. You're going to have to find out. But we always come back to this point. Why did you buy this 270? Why did you buy this gun? What did you think of it? And that builds a relationship, speaking retail wise, that Christian was talking about, right? That builds that relationship that they come back asking for you and asking those questions, whether you're chit-chatting or making out a work ticket or whatever. What do you like about it? What do you don't? What don't you? That type of thing. So
can you guys remember, think early back on in your gunsmithing careers or shop days, did you make any mistakes that you've learned from, that you made a recommendation for a rifle or an accessory or repair and it didn't work out as the way you thought it would?
I'm a little fuzzy all of a sudden. I can't remember.
I think my biggest mistake is overpromising. I can't really think of times when I recommended bad gear necessarily, but overpromising on delivery times. And then you look bad.
Opening day shows up and the gun's just not ready for him, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That would be my biggest mistake, I would say, on that side of things. I'm trying to think of when I have gear issues, but
yeah, I'd have to agree 100% with not having things ready. That is the nature of repair things. Things come up. I do have a sign out in front of the shop. that unexpected things can happen. As long as I'm communicating it, customers are really good. I mean, like 98%. The problem comes in when they've literally got their truck out front getting ready to go up to the hills to pick up their gun. They're like, what do you mean it's not done? Well, it's not been done for several weeks. It's our job, that responsibility. If you get paid, you're the professional. It's your responsibility to communicate. It's not his job to call and check on the gun that was due. It's your job to make sure that you inform him. As far as mistakes go, I would say probably the biggest one that I think that I have done as far as category is either too much gun or too heavy. And that's the thing. Our frame of reference is ourselves on picking up a gun, shooting it, and recoiling the whole bit. And we've got to realize no matter how big you are, you may be recoil sensitive. So I know some guys that are, they're big guys, and I'm sure Steve is not recoil sensitive, but people that are Steve's size that are recoil sensitive. And I've seen some guys that are on the other end of the spectrum, and they're shooting big bores and they just eat it up. But then there's the weight of the gun. Can I comfortably shoot it? That type of thing.
I know as a hunting guide, I'd had experiences where hunting clients would come in, they bring the rifle, and it was usually just the wrong rifle for the job. And part of it was maybe their own research. They maybe saw some cool picture on the box of the ammo that says, Hog Killer 3000. And it's, just not the right ammo, just not the right gun for the situation. Hey, you brought a super high powered scope, but we're hunting in the backwoods of Florida where you can't see more than 50 yards. That scope's no good. Or a lot of times I remember customers and clients would bring AR-15s, 300 blackout for hog hunting or deer hunting. Man, super nice guns. But we always had harder times and would discourage the customer from using that because we lost so many animals. Just that ammo, that caliber, that particular bullet doesn't do well for making a blood trail. It might kill the animal eventually, but we're going to have a very hard time locating it. Do you take those into considerations of, hey, you're going hunting, let me pick out not only the platform, but here's what you need to know about ammo as well to stock up on before you go out to the field?
Yeah, I think that's actually one thing I was going to bring up before. So there's two pieces to this. Is I would always recommend that a person bring a couple guns. So you think of this tool, right? And this I'll share a embarrassing story. I was out hunting with my dad here in Idaho, and 2 years ago, and I'm able to hunt with an AR-10. Some states you can't do that, but I do, and it's a good hunting platform for me. Well, the gun is black, everything on it is black, and where I was hunting, that was an old burn area, so all the trees are black. And I set it down on the ground. I get back to the UTV, and my dad's like, "Where's your gun?" I'm like, "Where is my gun? It's somewhere on the hillside." So I have to backtrack and try to find my gun in all this black. And luckily I do, but it was sketchy that I was going to find that gun again. Somebody was going to have a nice, gift at some point down the road. But that's just an illustration. Or another time when my dad went rolling down the hill with his rifle during a bighorn sheep hunt, and he bashed up the scope. The scope wasn't working anymore. He didn't realize it until he took a shot at a bighorn, and it was way off. Well, luckily they had another firearm. So it's always good to have something else with you. And that's maybe another upselling point when you're working in a retail shop or as a gunsmith. Hey, it's always good to have another one. Do you have a backup firearm? Bring your tool with you. Your hunt is relying on that tool working, or being present. And
sometimes a hunt of a lifetime could be on the line. Just if your weapon doesn't work or not, all that work is gone away.
Yeah. And then another point, as far as ammo goes, I think that's something that gunsmiths, I get asked all the time, oh, what do you think about this cartridge? What do you think about this cartridge? And that's the new flavor of the week cartridge, you know? I don't have experience with that cartridge because I'm not a fanboy, you know? And you do get a lot of that where there's the fanboy, the new flavor. And I do think as gunsmiths, it is good for you to stay up on that because then you can educate your customers as far as what the latest and greatest is. Um, so anyway, that would be my advice for upcoming gunsmiths or
Do you
people getting
guys
into the
have
market.
maybe a top three quick in mind? I think just calibers, don't get into specifics like grain weight, all that type of stuff. But like, what are your top three calibers for maybe your traditional North American deer hunt, like a whitetail or a mule deer?
Sorry, I'm talking a lot, Bart, but
Oh, you're good. You're good. Uh,
mine would be 243, 308, and 30-06. Those would be my three go-tos.
I would say 270, 308, and 7 mag are the three. If I'm not mistaken, a good friend of mine was a buyer for big box chain, and he said we go through more 270 ammo across the country than everything else. So, um, again, flat shooting, enough pleasant to shoot, and does the business end of it.
So if you're one of our viewers, comment below on what caliber you like to shoot and what you hunt. Share some of your stories. But speaking of stories, I want to hear about your guys' stories. What each of you tell me just a favorite hunt you guys have been on. Like where was it? What was it?
Well, I'm going to pipe in with a story about a hunt. It's not going to be
Okay.
mine, but you'll see why. This is the one that always sticks with me. Two guys walk into the store, goes over there and picks out a Weatherby Mark V, Swarovski scope, top of the line, and there's two of them, and one guy looks really happy, and one guy does not look very happy. So they bring the rifle and the scope over, and I'm getting ready to, size it up. And I'm like, well, who's going to shoot it? I need to set it for your eye relief and things. And it wasn't the guy buying the gun. It was the other guy who was real happy. So I'm like, okay. So I got to chatting with him and different things, and I got it done. And I said, so you just seem to be real happy. Is he okay with his shopping experience or whatever? And he says, no. He said he borrowed my Weatherby Mark V. Same gun, same caliber, shot an elk. It went down. He decided to go over before he did everything else. And he decided to sit on it, put the rack up, and lay the gun in his rack and wanted me to take, or his buddy, to take a picture. And the elk woke up, jumps up, and runs off through the woods with a Weatherby Mark V in his rack. So he's in buying me a new gun. He's buying the replacement.
What are the chances of that happening? Oh my goodness.
So I got to thinking somebody somewhere's going, hear their glass and they're glassing down.
That one hurts me because I almost said exact gun right behind me. I got a Weatherby 300 Win Mag with the Swarovski scope on it, and it's not a cheap gun.
No, but I can imagine somebody's glassing going, is that an elk with a rifle in its rack? So anyway, that one just always.
Yeah.
That's like doing a claw game and you get two prizes in one. That's awesome.
If you're a hunter and that big bull is charging you and it's out of season, could you claim self-defense? Like, officer, he had a gun,
Yeah. I think my favorite hunting story, I don't know, that's hard. It would probably have to be my first. It was mule deer hunting in Nevada, and I think 14. I can't remember. I was young, a young teenager. But that's when my dad and I were hunting together. It was my first experience going out with my dad and my uncle and my cousin, and we were just sitting around the campfire and, but the experience of stalking the animal and getting it. It was a 4-point on one side and a spike on the other because his antlers broke off, and I had that mounted on the wall for a while, and so that's the best experience to me. Hunting was an experience back in the day, but now hunting's transitioned over to just getting food, basically putting food on the table. is what it's about now for me.
Yeah, that's a whole other argument we're not going to get into today. Trophy hunting versus hunting for food.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take the girls out?
My daughter actually went out with me, but my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter isn't really into it, but my oldest daughter went out hunting with me for my whitetail. I got a couple, oh no, mule deer. I got a couple years ago. Actually, she was on the hunt for both the whitetail and a mule deer 2 years ago. So, but yeah, that was the worst hunting, worst. It was hard because I'm used to being alone. I'm used to being able to take that shot, take your time. And the whole time I'm getting on this animal, I'm worrying about her. So I'm distracted. I'm like, okay, I hope she's not walking in front of the muzzle or whatever. Stay down here. Does she have her ear protection on? I'm worrying about all that. So it's going through my head. So, I mean, I killed the animals, but bad shots, both of them, bad shots. And it's just like, I don't, I don't do bad shots like that, typically. So anyway,
Yeah,
she got to see it, but
That's
I
cool.
think for most people, especially people that are non-hunters, they when they hear hunting, they automatically think killing. And for me, hunting is so much more than just that. It is really the experience. I can't tell you how many of my favorite hunts probably didn't even end up with us seeing an animal sometimes, or it got away without a shot. But those trips are so memorable to me, whether it's the camp experience, the getting to hang out with my dad or my friends. And I got to see that a lot as a hunting guide, whether it was a dad bringing their son or their daughter for their first time trip, and going on a guided hunt was kind of a unique opportunity for them. Where, like Rico, you mentioned, hey, sometimes as a hunter taking another non-experienced hunter, you're so worried about what they're doing, being safe, that you can't focus on the things that really matter. Where sometimes when it was a guided hunt, your guide was taking care of that aspect, and the clients, whether it was a father and son or a daughter, they were able to focus on bonding and enjoying that experience together. And I can tell you, I've seen so many times, whether it's a new hunter or an experienced hunter, that knee knocking experience when you see a big deer walk out in front of you. Sometimes it's big to you, sometimes it's small to somebody else, but it always is it means a lot to you. How many people get nervous and that heart starts fluttering and everything goes out the window? They forget, like, man, I don't even know how to shoot this gun anymore. They're just almost so shocked of what to do next. And it was really nice having a guide next to you, and I could whisper over to that customer, hey, you need to get ready, get your rifle up, take your scope cover off, little tiny things that maybe they just got so nervous they would just forget all that training and just go out. And I think that's why, like you mentioned, training is so important. It gets those skills so rock solid that you don't even think about them. Otherwise, you may forget when the moment counts. And I know for me, I had a couple really cool hunting experiences that I got to see firsthand. I had a young guy came out for a hunt by himself. He was using a lever action 4570, and we were hog hunting. And every now and then we get these big giant mega boars here in Florida. They're, wild boar weighs 400 or 500 pounds. They got big giant thick shields on them. They look like monsters, and we stalked in on one during the middle of the day while it was bedded down and got about 20, 30 yards from it. And he put a great shot on it, but that big boar was just unaffected. It was like a mosquito bit his ass. He just stood up and came running right towards us. And the guy looked at me and he's like, what do I do? Like, shoot him again. And we had to shoot him about 3 or 4 more times. And I remember it was like a movie. He literally like plowed into the ground at our feet and dropped dead. It was heart racing experience.
yeah, that's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said the
I've
word
heard of
bonding.
those. Yeah, I've heard of those Hogzilla or Hogzilla. They call it.
We'd harvest them, and sometimes you go to skin them out, you'd find broadheads in that chest plate that has healed over. It's incredible how that cartilage just protects them.
You mentioned the word earlier. I think that probably encapsulates what we have experienced, and that's bonding. And that's pretty cool. I remember taking my 2 oldest bird hunting and things, and one got his first pheasant, got a rooster, and you never know exactly how they're going to respond, so he goes over there and he's got he's got a really kind heart, that type of thing. He goes over there and he's holding the rooster and he's like, I never realized how beautiful they are. I mean, they just glisten and things. And I have to admit, it kind of had to bring me back to an appreciation of, wow, they really are. They're just spectacular. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's not going to want to go hunting. And he goes, let's go get another one. Like, okay, that's my boy right there. But those are those moments where you see how they're kind of wired and that's what they enjoy. And if they don't, they have lots of other things to do.
It's when they get really into it and they smear the blood on their face. Yeah, let's go get another one.
Bite the head off. Yeah, that's where you want to kind of draw the line. Okay, let's let's turn back to the shop. So
Christian, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so when are you going to be going hunting? Because now you need to share your experience on this podcast. So this year, maybe your first year.
Maybe we'll do it. I've got some buddies who have invited me out, so we'll see what goes on. My plan was before Steve, I guess your family sold the ranch. I wanted to do a hog hunt with a big knife because I saw Brandon Herrera and Donut do it, so I wanted to do it as well.
If you come to Florida, I'll make it happen.
Okay, all right. So that might be my first. No gun necessary. Yeah. I've got what I need right here.
That's an experience.
Yeah. Or you'll see me in the hospital, one of the two. So, All right. Well, what I want to do, I want to turn it back around and get back into the shop stuff. Let's go more on the retail side. As a retailer, what should you be doing to prepare, weeks, months in advance for hunting season, other than some of the stuff we talked about on the gunsmithing side?
I think
one of the things I think that is really missed, and it dovetails a little bit into having the gunsmith come out and say, this is what we do in the shop, this is our pricing, that kind of stuff. But have the retail staff go through and get to know your product. It's interesting. It's been in most environments. This guy knows handguns. This guy knows shotguns or whatever. And oftentimes they just say, well, go talk to so-and-so. Well, get everybody together in a morning meeting and give a 15-minute dissertation on Browning, Beretta, pick your favorite shotgun, handgun, rifles, or whatever, and use the talent that you've already got there. And everybody's cross-trained. That way, if they're busy, somebody else's day off, they're like, that staff knows, that has the collective knowledge. That's the first thing. So they can help then know the product and then sharing sales techniques. Every group of salesmen, there's going to be one who's the number one salesman, right? What does he do that's different? Oftentimes he just he talks less and he asks questions more. And he simplifies it for the customer, that type of thing. Everybody has their own sales technique. Share those sales techniques that you already have. It doesn't have to cost you money. You just have to invest in each other.
Yeah, mine was going to be just pretty much similar to Bart, only from the consumer side of it. So if you're a retail storefront or whatever, start offering classes to your customer base along the same lines of, hey, this is a hunting prep course. What do you need to get ready for? And you could cater to new hunters coming in. So anyway, that's all I was going to say for that side.
On the topic of being prepared, Rick, what are some of the skills that students will learn at SDI that would prepare them for hunting season as a gunsmith?
As far as the skills, so mounting, bore sighting, scopes. As far as top hunting season stuff, mounting, bore sighting, scopes, bedding, your firearms, bedding rifles, choke tubes. Bart mentioned that. What do different choke tubes do? How to, lengthen forcing cones, different things like that, I think are important. Yeah, and then just basically the theory behind all of that stuff as well. So not necessarily just the skills doing it, but the science of the why. behind it.
What I would say in addition to that would be there's three basic aspects typically. It's making them run better, making them look better. That's the three things. It's got to work first. Then they want it to work better. So to Rick's point, glass bedding, or maybe trigger jobs and recoil pads are two other ones that you'll learn how to do properly. Anybody can make a light trigger. It's making a light trigger that's safe. That's what we teach. Those are the types of things. So, but it's got to work. How do you make it work better? And then the cosmetic part of it. So if you think about it in that fashion, it doesn't cover every job, but it covers about 98% of them.
Yeah, I love that flow through of run better, look better.
With cosmetics, like you just said the word cosmetic, so people don't lose their guns, or I guess some people do the camo stuff. Do you see a lot of people prepping their firearms in that regard, just making them look cool as well as making sure they run well?
Yeah.
Cerakote. Cerakote, I don't know if I'm supposed to say a brand, but Cerakote, the nice thing about Cerakote is you can do patterns, you can do all sorts of things. There are other products out there, but it's like going into a home improvement store and looking at the color palette, and everybody wants to make it theirs, that type of thing. I'm going to go back to one thing that was said a little earlier too. Steve, you said towards the beginning about people and having their guns and getting rusty. One of the biggest mistakes is people believe that a wet gun will rust faster than a gun that's just lightly damp. It's the other way around. I've literally had people go hunting in eastern Colorado in the morning, drive to Denver. It's about a 3 or 4 hour trip, open up the gun case, and there's rust on it. Under the right conditions. So I usually tell people bring 2 plastic bags, one with a dry rag and one with a silicone rag. Wipe off the water, wipe down the gun with a silicone rag, then put it in the gun case. Because it only takes, it can rust in a day easy.
Oh,
Easy.
it could rust right in front of you. I had a 1911 do that where it was really cold outside and I brought it into our warm room, our warm house, and I could see the rust growing on it. Like I watched it happen. It was terrible. But yeah, like going from that, transitioning over from that, because just like Bart said, that dew point, it accumulates on the metal surface, and then the rust starts immediately. So it's just that dampness that, yeah.
So when it comes to refinishing, that's a number one cause right there. Then you can give them options, and we teach techniques and things on how to sell that work and that type of thing.
You guys suggest like post hunting season jobs or preventative maintenance? Like what goes along with that?
Cleaning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing when you give them back their gun or whatever, and you're just the simple act after you mount a scope and say, you know, if you bring that back in, I'll knock $5 off, or hey, bring it back in after hunting season or whatever. That brings another trip into the store. You benefit. It's just that welcoming attitude that you can have. Don't forget to bring that back in. You know, we can clean that up so that you're ready for next year's hunt, making it field ready. That's an expression that I have learned resonates with people. They want to know what you did or whatever. Just say, sir, it's field ready. It's range ready. They get it. Oh, okay. It's field ready. I'm ready to go to the field. Just a simple turn of phrase like that can give them the confidence that you have done a good job and that they're ready to go.
Yeah. So that's a difference, I think, Bart, between hunting prep, clean and oil, or hunting prep, I guess, gun care, and finishing season gun care, right? So gun care at the beginning might be you're bedding the rifle, or you're mounting and bore sighting a scope, yada yada yada, whatever you're doing, a new trigger job or whatever, and you're going to test fire that fire. Well, after that, if the customer hasn't paid you for a cleaning, you're not going to clean it. They're going to be taking it out and hunting with it anyway. But after hunting season, they're going to be putting it in their gun case and probably not touching it for another year. That gun needs to be clean. to prevent rust and stuff like that. So it's a different mindset and a different selling point, I guess.
And you said the word mindset. I think that's a good one there. We live in a world where the microwave no longer works fast enough. Yeah, right. I mean, we go through a drive-through. If it takes more than 4 minutes for me to get my order, I'm like, what's going on in there? But I can go to a steakhouse and it takes 45 minutes. That doesn't even bother you. So setting that expectation, I can do that. However, it just takes time, and being able to communicate that to the customer can certainly make the difference between doing good work and having a happy customer, or doing good work and having a customer's like, yeah, but he takes forever. That's the number one complaint.
100% agree. If you told me it's going to take 3 days and it takes 30 days, I'm going to be mad as a customer. But if you told me up front, hey, expect this back in 20 to 30 days, and you got it back in 19, man, I'm going to be happy a customer. I'm going to come back and say, Bart, Rick, you guys do great work, and you delivered it ahead of schedule. I like that. Man, if you tell me one thing and it's going to take, I'd rather just be honest up front. If you know what's going to be communicated up front is way better than being lied to.
Yeah, under promise, over deliver. Our standard rule of thumb is we always try to have things done 3 days before the due date. Somebody gets sick, it's the day off, I get behind, whatever. But managing workflow, that's another thing that we teach at SDI, is being able to go through it and hit upon some of those subjects and the importance of that. If you've got a good craft and you've got talent, learn to be able to give that some traction and have a formula, a recipe that works in your own shop so that it's sustainable and everybody's happy.
Is there a workflow that you like a first in, first out? And does that change during busy times of the year? Are you, like you said, you're leaving time in your day for some walk-in projects. So does it shift throughout the year of, hey, we're going to break our rules, but here's why?
Absolutely. So hunting season comes along. We tell people normally this would take X amount of time. I'm getting hunters back out into the field. That's our priority. So I'm going to have to normally be, I'm going to say, usually it's 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the time of year and everything else. If I had to give an average over the years, 3 to 6 weeks. I might tell them it's 6 to 8. And 90% of them are fine with that. And the ones that aren't, okay, I'll make an exception. I'll go ahead and work you in. And usually, but again, you've left that cushion in there. But absolutely, racing season, you get race cars out, right? Boating season, you get boats out. You're not in doing restorations on boats or whatever. It's same way with guns. I've got to get these guys out into the field.
And I can only imagine, I mean, it works its way up the chain. You can't think you're going to get things as fast as you normally would during the off season. Your customer wants it now. So when you go to order something from your supplier, well, they all have customers that are wanting it now too. So all of a sudden that piece of equipment, your materials you ordered and it was delivered quickly and on time, well, maybe that supplier is out of stock because everyone's ordering it right now. So I think you should be planning that into your season.
Excellent point. Not only planning it into, but you've gotten off the phone or you've gotten an email back. You have the customer's gun and work ticket, dial the number, put them on speaker. And while you're packaging it back up, I ordered the part. Instead of 2 weeks behind, they're 6 weeks behind. I'm not going to have it. I can't install a part I don't have. So I've tried other sources and let them know. Communicate. These are the guys that pay your bills. So I try to tend to treat those people with a lot of respect, and they're going to tell people, they're either going to tell them something positive or negative. If you have that mindset that when you're done working with the customer, he's going to say something positive, you're not going to get the gun done anyway. Why not just take a second and call? Be ethically, make sure that you don't give yourself an out I'll just tell him if he calls. No, the call ahead is worth way more than the excuse you have to give. And he goes, well, why didn't you call me? What are you going to say? Because I was too lazy? I don't know. Whatever it is. If you're too busy, then you need to rearrange your schedule. You can't be too busy for the customer.
And who knows, you know, like in that phone call, they may say, oh, okay, well, I got a backup 270. All it needs is, you know, a new scope mount put on it. I'll bring that in for you today if you can get it done. And you have a different job and a happy customer.
The number of times that I have called customers over the years and they are shocked that a repair shop is calling them with an update. They're just like, you, I mean, seriously, it's like 75%. I'm like, I can't believe you're calling me to tell me. Shops don't do that. The shops you work with don't do that, or
Yeah, you
have
usually
worked.
have them to track them down.
That's exactly right. So don't be that guy. Don't be that shop. Don't have that reputation. And I think the other piece, and I guess I speak maybe from a little bit different mindset. You also represent all gunsmiths when you're doing that. Have some professional integrity.
Yep.
So professionalism and customer service goes a long way. A little goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what Bart said too, I mean, about building in that cushion, allowing yourself the time to not get frustrated with your customers, to not see them as a hurdle, but to see them as the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Um, and I think that, you know, myself included, sometimes we can get distracted on the fun things of gunsmithing, like the creative side of it. I want to work on my projects because I can be more creative with that versus a customer's firearm. They're going to be very specific on what they want and when they want it. And you don't have that same level of creativity necessarily, not with every job. So
Is there a skill that SDI students should focus on over the next 30 days if they want to support hunting clients this season?
yeah, I think just getting themselves ready for the basic things of cleaning, mounting and bore sighting scopes, bedding, all that stuff. If they're not geared up for that, get geared up for it.
Two things I would say in addition to that, which is good advice, is learn how to structure your workflow. Okay. And the second one would be how can I better help a customer and not take all day doing it? But managing the time, the expectation, the workflow, it all goes hand in hand. They're two different sides of the same coin. Setting expectations, meeting expectations, whether that be quality, time, uh, or communication, whatever the case may be. But work and have a structure that's successful and think about what would I want and work ahead. And the suggestion of managing the time piece is where it all starts. Time and customer.
So maybe even the next 30 days or even now, start looking at what's my backlog? How do I start clearing these jobs out to start getting ready and to expect a whole bunch of customers to come in that are going to be urgently wanting their job done first for hunting season.
Yeah. We make fun of hunters and shooters that don't think ahead, but do we? Challenge yourself. Make sure that you're thinking ahead because you get paid to do what you do. They don't get paid to be the customer.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a profession. It's a profession.
Well, does anybody have anything else before we wrap this thing up?
I don't think so. I think that was covered a lot of ground.
Our students and prospective students are ready after all this. They're good.
Okay.
Right?
Well, so let's wrap it up with that. What's one thing a prospective student or current student will learn here at SDI that'll help them with a shop as a gunsmith during hunting season?
For
How to
me,
operate a shop.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. How to operate a shop successfully.
Yeah.
How so?
Customers happy. I'm making money. Quality's there. I like going to work every day. That's probably a success.
Okay. Rick?
Yeah, I think for me, when I was working in a gun store and doing the gunsmithing regularly, I like the talking to the customers, the educating to the customers a lot, and walking them around the floor, showing them the different products. So understanding the theory, again, the science behind the things. A lot of people are sold on all these little whiz bang things and they think they need them. Well, why do you need it? What is it doing? Does it do it better? Does this $150 piece do it better than this $30 piece? You know, I don't know. And so let's talk about the science behind it, and not to downsell, because you're obviously wanting to upsell and get your customer to buy things, but you also want to be truthful, and you want to help them when they go out there in the field, or when their customers go out there in the field. When our students' customers go out in the field, they're prepared and they know why they are lugging that big old muzzle brake around on the tip of their firearm, you know, things like that. So,
Steve, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, this is why I love our Gun Rack podcast and having you guys on the show, because we start to getting a bit deeper into gunsmithing across the board, not just the top level basics. We start thinking about start talking about the things that you're not always thinking about, whether it's, you know, just getting prepared for your materials. But I also think about, you know, for advice for students on gunsmiths and gun shops, start doing those things that you're not always thinking about. Get you ready for hunting season. You know, you're going to be doing those basic jobs, but now is probably the time to also, hey, make sure, is your website updated? Is your Google Maps listing up to date? Do you have the right hours on there? Correct phone number, website? Do you have services listed correctly? Start thinking about those pieces to make it easy for customers to come do business with you.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Exactly. Well, for more information on our programs, classes, course descriptions, go to our website today, sdi.edu. Hit request information, talk to admissions rep, see all the stuff. But Bart, Rick, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your combined 1,000 years experience together as hunters and gunsmiths. For Steve, I've been Christian, and that's been the Gun Rack. Way bye, everybody.
Good
see ya.
luck this hunting season.